All right. Shout out to everybody on our Facebook pages and on YouTube. I'm Kendra Dixon. I'm coming at you from Stall High. So what we're going to share tonight is something that we actually do every night of the week, Monday through Friday, and it's called Trainer a Day, and it's for our members at Stall High. So for riders who are willing to level up, to keep going, and for riders who put the mental health of their horse first. So yes, we agree with physical conditioning, but we're all about the mental health of our horse as well, and that's how we're getting the breakthrough results. So I'm glad you guys are here, and I just heard from Shad Mayfield. He is competing at Calgary, and he just texted me a few minutes ago and said he has terrible reception, but he's going to try to be here in about 10 minutes. So Lori, if you'll just keep an eye out for Shad when he comes into the waiting room. Mr. Ronnie, are you here yet?
Yeah.
Ronnie Clampett. Okay, so let me introduce our Friday coach at Stall High, Ronnie Clampett. He is a very skilled horseman. He's been training horses for decades, and it's awesome to get to pick his brain because he is an excellent problem solver, and we're all gaining information. We're all learning from Ronnie as we go every week, and as we tune in every Friday, and we have the honor of getting to listen to Ronnie. Really, it feels like he's just telling stories, but for us, like he'll have several mic drop moments where we're like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that before. Like I thought I was doing good, right? But we probably can all agree that we could make progress, that all of our horses could step up, that we haven't completely maxed out on their potential. And that's why we're here. And that's why it's so much fun to talk to you, Ronnie. So I want to start earlier today. We did a session with the little red roan filly, Ronnie. She's the 2-year-old. She's the metallic cat, and she's owned by Melody and Jimmy Love. She's been with us in training for about 60 days. I'm not the primary, at least I haven't been, because I don't start colts. That's not my specialty. My specialty is tracking around those 3 barrels. So Frankie Gate and I have been co-training this mare, and she's just now, I've only had one ride on her up until today. I said, well, let me just try. I'm going to start in the refining pen. If she's okay, I want to actually take her to the barrels. And Lori asked a really good question today, and I think it's going to be a great segue into our clinic tomorrow. She asked, how much leg pressure are you using when you track through the turn? And after we address that in the session that's recorded, the replays at stallhighnetwork.com. Well, that got me thinking, like, how do you elaborate on that? The best way I can say it, and this is for anybody listening, and Lori to just kind of keep going, and Ronnie, I want to prep you because I'm just going to toss it to you. When you start a horse, it's kind of like a big lump of fresh clay. And so those initial moves are going to be, you're going to be more hands-on. But now, see, she started to take shape, and she started to become more defined and refined. And so that clay moves all the time, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You got to know when to touch it and when to release and where to touch it. So it's a constant. So even though it doesn't look like my hands are doing a lot, they're doing a lot. They're just very micro movements. They're really small. It's the same for my feet. So Ronnie,
Right.
How do we keep going on that subject? And how do you explain, like, how to know when to touch and when to release, and how to find that feel and that total body experience with your horse?
It seems, let me see. That might be a little hard for me to explain. It's hard to explain feel.
Mm-hmm.
It is. But you use as much pressure at that. I'm in the shop. The air conditioning and the other deal is not working till the shop is. So the lights are a little brighter in here. So we'll kind of work through that.
Okay.
The feel of that horse, as much as I need to go with my hand, on a lot of these younger horses, I don't put a spur on for a while, because what I've found is they have a tendency to get scared. A lot of these newer bred horses, they don't take the same. They don't handle the pressure the same way those old cold bloods did, so to speak. They're a little finer skin. They're thinner skin. They're highly intelligent, and there's a lot going on in their mind at one time, and most of them are extremely sensitive. They're pretty light-sighted and light-headed. They're almost to the point of they're ultralight. It takes less and less. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. Your fingertip. On my feet, I only add as much as I need at that moment in time. And some days you have to press. See, that's the thing about your foot spurs. It doesn't, all of it goes together. Is most people kick. They kick a horse. They want to move them over, so they punch them. That's when you get them to run in front of you. I press a horse. You just put your foot in him, put your foot in and push. Just push him over. Just push him, push him, push him. Just press. And even with a spur, I'll just put a spur in them and just push the spur. Not kick them, just push it until I get a little bit of response. Then if I need a little more, I'll add a little more to it. But what I do is, and what I figured out years ago was, the way I do this, and I do my little circles and my little riding and stuff, and I'm pressing on them, is I don't want a horse to run from my feet. When I put my foot in him at a barrel or on a cow or anything, I don't want him to get faster. I actually want him to kind of slow down a little bit. Not run from my foot, but come back to my foot and make the turns. What most barrel racers do, and a lot of ropers do too, is they kick them. So when they say, use your foot at the barrel, use your foot in the turn. They'll put their foot in them, and they have punched on them in the past. So what they've got them to do is running from their foot. So when they put their foot in them, they merely all kick them. Put their foot in them or they kick them, that horse speeds up. Up here one time at a jackpot, there's a girl from Wichita Falls, two of them come over here, and I knew them. I knew her. I knew one of them. I didn't know the other, the lady that Jody brought with her. And she would get about two strides from the barrel. And she had these little bitty barrel racing spurs with the little bitty rowels. Just like they're like kicking them with a ice pick. Little bitty rowel, punching. And she'd get about two strides from the barrel and grab a hold with her both feet. And when she did, her horse would just shoot by the barrel. And I said, Jody, when she watch what she's doing. When she gets about 2 or 3 steps from that barrel, she punches that horse with her feet to hold on in the turn, and the horse is running by the barrel. That's what she was doing.
Then it's the total fight and trying to gather them and hold them back.
It is not a fight for them because they won't turn loose. They won't turn loose. They won't turn loose with their feet. They're holding on. It's like Terry Riff, my friend. He had a non-pro come to his house one time. Horse was running through the stop on the ends. And he said, take them spurs off. And he said, I can't take them off. If I take my spurs off, I'll fall off.
Oh, because he was holding on with them. Well, so I'm glad you're already kind of leading us in. Tomorrow, we're hosting an online Spur, the first of its kind. Our clinician is James Davison. I personally thought I used Spurs very well, and I've made a good living in the saddle. So, what more did I have to learn until James called me out on one little bitty thing to change? It made a huge difference. So we're going to share about that tomorrow. But Ronnie, I want to kind of circle back to something you've said a lot to us this year at Stall High. I think it's definitely applicable right now to what we're talking about. Not just our hands, but your feet. And what you just said leads right into it. You said the number one thing in the world that a horse wants. Everybody has it wrong, but you got it. So there's one thing that a horse really wants most. It's not cookies. It's not a new trailer. It's not a stall full of shavings up to their knees. What is it?
Relief. They want relief. I got into that conversation today. A lady from Arkansas called me about a horse that she's got, and she sent me some video. This is a big, hard knocking, hard running sucker. He is huge, but he had a cracked jaw, he's kind of crooked mouth. Anyway, they're trying to, it all goes back to, you got to do what you got to do and change some things. They've had him to several places and this, that, and the other, and it was horrible. They're trying to ride him. Their girl's trying to ride him, pulling on his head. They've got a big bit in his mouth, a lot of bridle. His head's in the air like that, and his gut. And we talked about this, and I told her, I said, he looks, and then I hadn't thought about this until she said, I said, he looks like he's running out of confusion. He's in a bind. He's in a bind. And it goes back to what my old boss said. All that horse wants is out of the trap. He's been
okay, so let's ask something real quick. So guys, if you're watching on TikTok right now, and if you're watching on Facebook and you don't really know what's going on, you just scroll through this and you're like, hey, that kind of sounds like something I want to listen to. I want you to type right now in the comments, confusion. If you think your horse is confused, I want you to type right now, confused, so that we can help you. We have an entire team of coaches at Stall High, and we actually help riders online. We're getting amazing results. So we're here live 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday. And a lot of people, it hurts my heart to see them just running in circles or just circling the barrel for years. Yep. And not understanding why their horse is confused. And all the while, and I did it, because I got sucked into that trap. We try every new product, every supplement, every new set of reins. Well, if this color bell boot's going to make my horse do better, there's all these therapies and products, and I'm not saying that they're not beneficial. But if the biggest breakthrough lies in wisdom and knowledge, that's a no-brainer to go invest in that first.
There is.
The relief. It just, it's so simple, but so many people miss it, Ronnie.
Because she asked me because I said, how did you get my name? She said, a friend of mine in Canada. They know each other. And she said, I was talking to her, and she said, you need to call Ronnie Clampitt. And I went, oh, cool. In Alberta. I said, okay, I know who you're talking about. Anyway, that was kind of interesting. And we were talking about bridles and the different things that we were using. And I was talking about my hackamores and what they do. And here's part of it. It's when you take the trap off of their head, you take the fear factor away. When you take the fear factor away, you take the flight factor away. You can't be like the other day I was listening to a deal, and it's kind of like the predator. You become the predator to a certain degree. It's like the old Jakey and Ronnie, that song. Hey, you can't come out of that hole. He said, why are you coming out of that hole every time this old steer comes back, this bull comes back, you jump back in the hole, and then you jump out. He comes back and you jump out. And he said, why don't you stay in the hole? And the guy said, there's a bear in here. I can't stay. Mm-hmm. Too many times we become the bear. We become the predator in the hole to that horse because they are a prey animal. You have to remember all these things and think about these things. A horse is a prey animal, and we are a predator. Our eyes are in front. Their eyes are on the side. And I've had calf horses that you could not look in the eye to catch them. You had to look at the ground or look somewhere else to walk up to him and catch him. You couldn't look him in the eye and walk up to him and catch him in the pen. He was that wild. And when you tied the calf and you were walking back to him, if you looked up and looked him in the eye, you wouldn't get back on him. He just go running backwards. But if you looked down and broke eye contact, you could get on him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of this that the predator prey deal I don't know if that has anything to do with this or not, but when we put those horses that's what I told this lady, when you put a horse in a position where he has to guess what's coming next, he's not going to guess what you want. He's not going to guess right. Horses don't guess. Horses are a signal animal, and the signals have to be clear and they have to be definite. You can't mix signals. Can't push and pull at the same time. All of that. A horse is a signal animal, clear and definite. And she was just listening to this. And she was going, "Oh, I never thought of all these things," because they just went to a bigger bridle. And all the people, and they sent this horse. He's just 6. They'd sent this horse to different barrel racing trainers. And she said one of them had 2 tie downs on him and a big bit in his mouth trying to control him. I said, you can't do that to these horses today. That's why he's running off. You have got his head in a trap, and all he wants is out of that trap. And you're going to have to let him out of the trap, and your daughter's going to have to learn to ride with her feet.
Well,
there's
and
no
a lot
bridling.
of people,
You can't buy a bridle. That's what they all say. What bit can I buy? What drill can I do? And I said, there's not one thing you can do. You can't buy enough bridle. You can't. It's the mechanics of your body. Most of this comes into our body, what we're doing, and the signals that we're sending to that horse. And
Okay.
Ronnie, I have a question about that.
Okay.
So between this morning and right now, listening to you guys talk, some of us have not been riding all of our lives. And I'm trying to figure out ways to discuss here analogies or examples that will help to kind of convey that feel that you're looking for, or even if we cannot convey that like really concisely sometimes, like what if we could convey at least a guideline? And so I have a question, because this hit me at the beginning when you guys first started talking. So, and I'm just going to use, just for a visual, I'm going back to what I could picture this morning. So we were, walking the barrel pattern and, or trotting and then stopping. So we were coming up to the 3rd barrel, and you come into it straight and then you turn. And that's when the question came up. I want to know what you're doing with your feet and your legs, what coming into that and then in a turn. And so, of course, this is a young horse. And like you said, we aren't using spurs on this one yet. So what if we said that you can visualize a path, like you're visualizing the path and you're looking where you're going. We've talked about that quite a few times. If you visualize your path and you imagine that that's your highway lane and you've got your yellow lines. So is it, here's where my question lies. We've also talked about not micromanaging. And so we're just going to use this as an example. This is a younger horse. We're not using spurs on. We're in training. She's kind of coming up. She's becoming refined. But is it, how much, are you just keeping her in those lines, or should you be careful not to be doing that too much if she's off? You know what I'm saying?
Just
Like,
keep her
how do
in.
you,
Just keep her between the ditches, so to speak. You'll have a track that you need to be in. You'll have a track, and mine's about 3 or 4 foot wide. As long as I keep them in that track and sit down, give them the cue when I get to them. When I get to a turn position, then I just sit down. I'll sit down, set your landing gear, so to speak. Just drop your gear, and then lead them to put my inside foot in, inside foot in, get her to go this way, and lead that horse through that turn on that track. I lead them with my little finger, my elbow and my little finger, lead them through the turn, and my shoulders rotate with them. Shoulders and hip go that way. You push a horse, you can really do a lot with your body, your shoulders and your hips. And when you're going to turn left, you'll kind of release with this left foot, left leg, left knee, and your right knee and thigh, I guess you could say, and leg will push will turn as your hips and shoulders rotate. They will push that horse over. I didn't know this but if I can keep them in that 3 or 4 foot track right now, that's where they need to be. And that's kind of where they'll end up when they start to run in harder and get speed builds up, is kind of stay in that lane. And it's no confusion to them. They know right where they're going and right to a target spot. I hope that explains
yeah, it does.
Just kind of keep them between you've got a road, and you've got a ditch on the left and a ditch on the right. You kind of got a little leeway in there. You've got a little shoulder over here and a little shoulder over here. But as long as you keep that truck or that car between the lines, between the ditches, you'll get to your destination. Don't over, I guess you say, macromanage it like that. You don't have to, especially a young horse. Give them a little leeway in there. Give them a little room at the barrel. Give them release the pressure of the barrel. That's another subject right there, pressure of the barrel. And I was telling her about this and what it relates back to the cow horse stuff. The pressure of the cow, the pressure of a barrel, the physical presence of a barrel can bother a horse, and it bothers a rider. That's a thought too.
Okay, so I'm going to back you up a minute. So we go back to 619 because I take notes. At 619, you said you can't buy one thing. You can't do one thing. And you dropped a mic right there. So you're summing this whole night up beautifully, Ronnie. Thank you for doing that. So that's where I fell into a rut and I got stuck there. And it was a very expensive rut and it was a very frustrating rut. And I almost quit because I bought into the false belief that you could buy one thing, or you could all you got to do is one thing. Like I was looking for that one approach, or I was looking for that one, like if somebody told me like, well, this is the new tie down, this is the way to go. Well, I was going to buy it. But the problem was there is no one answer, guys. Every horse is an individual. Every rider is an individual. And if you think you're just going to shortcut your path by writing a check for one product or one thing, it's not going to happen. You're just setting yourself back because you're only going to be even more disappointed. Your horse will become even more confused. So it's Stall High with our team of trainers, our team of coaches that go live every night, 5 days a week. We're really diving in on all the possible variables, and we help you step by step with a more customized, personalized plan so that you're not setting yourself up for failure or major disappointment. I sure don't want you to quit. So if that's you right now and you're listening somewhere on the internet, we won't let you quit. If you're like me, you love your horse too much to quit. I like to be disheartened. I understand what it's like to feel like a failure, and I understand what it's like to dread that ride home with your parent or your spouse or your calling partner if you didn't do well. So that's what we're here to help alleviate and free you from the false expectations and free you from the methods that don't work. Just because they work for some people does not mean they are going to work for everybody. And if we take a step back and look at the horses that it does work for, I have to ask, what could they do if they had free range of motion? What could they do if they weren't micromanaged and held collected? Barrel racers love to talk about collection. We pride ourselves on holding a horse collected. And I am waving the flag over here saying, your horse hates that. It physically restricts them. And like you said it best, Ronnie, drills don't work.
No, that's what this lady's finding out. They're finding out that all this barrel racing training is not working like it's supposed to with this horse. Well, with a lot of things. And my friend in Canada said, you need to call Ronnie, talk to him about it. I said, okay, we'll get into the cow horse side of this deal. She kind of understood some of it. And because cow horses, cutters, dressage horses, they all have, it all relates to barrel racing. It all relates. And your body position, but your body position has so much to do with it. You get in an athletic stance on your horse. This is an athletic event. I think y'all were talking the other day about the length of your stirrups. Makes a huge difference in your stability on your horse. And I did not know all this stuff until I was in a bind here about 5 or 6 years ago on a big gelding. He was beating me to death. He was so big and so strong and could run so hard. So I went over to my cutting horse buddy, Bill. I went over to Bill Riddle's one day and I said, I'm having a problem and I need some help. He said, well, come over. So I just went over there and we got on some colts. I got on some of his horses. He said, there's one thing you're doing. He said, you're watching your horse's head too much. He said, you ride by yourself a lot, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. How do you know? He said, because you're watching your horse's head too much. And I went, oh, what does that do? He said, it decreases your field of vision, but it decreases your feel of your horse. Put your chin over the saddle. He said, your chin controls your upper body, not your eyes. Put your chin over the saddle horn, put your chin on the cow. I went, oh, crap. Okay. He said, take your stirrups up. They're too long. I went, okay. So I took my stirrups up. No, I was on his saddle, so they were already took up.
You just dropped another bomb.
And I said,
you just dropped the mic again.
I said, what does that do? He said, when your stirrups are too long, and I get to visualizing this in my mind because I have seen it. He said, when your stirrups are too long, you're reaching for your stirrup with your foot. When you reach, your head goes back and your shoulders open up. And you get behind your horse and you can't catch up, right? And I said, yeah. Then that's when a lot of them get on the bridle reins. They're balancing on the bridle rein so they can't fall off. But also they've got a hold of the saddle horn. But you've got a hold of the saddle horn and your head and shoulders are back and your hands out here like you got a hold of the horn, but your arm is stretched out as far as it'll go. You got a hold of the horn, but you're still behind your horse.
But it's not intentional. But no. I think most riders just aren't aware yet, but that's what we're here for. So we have a hard stop. I'm gonna go ahead and just thank you once again for your last mic drop. Brilliant. I personally have never connected that dot quite as sharp, but you and Frankie are in the bullseye together today because you just elaborated on what he said this morning in our training session with that little metallic cat filly. He was showing the example not to get fixated. And he said, look, he said, watch me. And every few strides, he would look over the fence and he would come back. And every few strides, he would look somewhere else and he would come back. And he just gave a visual of that. So you were right on the money with that one. Ronnie, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who's watching on one of our other channels tonight. I want to invite you to our special online clinic tomorrow. We're doing something called the Online Spur Clinic. It is sponsored by American Hats. If you need a hat, you can sign up for this clinic.
Here you go. Yeah.
You have a chance to win a brand new American hat. You also have a chance to win a set of brand new spurs. Let me show you these cool spur straps real quick. If you need a new pair of spurs, we're going to give away 2 pairs of spurs tomorrow. But what's most important, when you invest in the Online Spur Clinic, you're going to get so much more out of it. If you're willing to invest that 2 hours and it costs less than 1 entry fee, okay, typical entry fee, and it's sure cheaper than a tank of fuel to stack the cards in your favor and really understand how to use spurs properly so that you can use them with the slightest touch and get the best response from your horse. And our clinician, James Davison, will elaborate more tomorrow afternoon. If you sign up before midnight, your entry fee is $47. You're going to save $200 if you sign up before midnight. Where's the sign up? Go to stallhighclinics.com. That's Stall High, Clinics with an S on the end.com. If you wait until tomorrow, you're going to pay $247 for your entry into the Online Spur Clinic, which is still super cheap because I did the math. And if I'd known 16 years ago when I started my barrel horse company as an individual by myself, and I hung my shingle as Gold Buckle Barrel Horses, if I'd known then what I know now, I could have doubled my revenue.
Sure.
Could I already be at the NFR by now? I think so. So think about that. Go get registered. If you're not registered for the Online Spur Clinic, just trust me. I promise, my promise to you is you're going to learn more in 2 hours about spurs than most professional horsemen will ever know in their entire career. And I'm not embellishing. It's that good. Ronnie, thank you so much. Thank you everybody else for being here. Lori, thanks for being our moderator. Once again, everybody have a happy Friday, and I will see you tomorrow from 1 to 3 for the Online Spur Clinic. Good job, Ronnie. Clip it. Thank you, sir. See you guys
Good night,
tomorrow.
y'all.